Welcome back to the Irish Bandit channel, or if you're new here, welcome to the channel. I, as always, am your host, the one, the only, the second Irish Bandit. Today we are returning with a very special Saturday video. Some things going on in the personal life I'd rather not get into at this point, which is why I had to move Thursday's video to Saturday, but thanks for sticking with me. So anyway, we're back to talking about Criminal Minds, one of my favorite TV shows. It's back. Never thought that would happen with Criminal Minds Evolution, so happy to see that. It's airing on Disney Plus in Canada, but it's airing on Paramount Plus in the United States, so great to see it back. But let's talk about season 4. What a season this was. It was a bigger season than season 3, like more episodes. Like if you take a look at the season 4 DVD set, look at that. That's like 7 discs when season 3 was like maybe 5. So yeah, longer season, that's for sure, but still just as good. We didn't have any cast changes this season, which is great, but yeah, overall it was a great season. Just thoroughly got into it. And let's talk about my 5 favorite episodes of this season. So let's just get right down into it with number 5, Minimal Loss. So unlike the Cobra Kai top 5 we had on Tuesday, I can actually go by the DVD set by synopsis. So, Minimal Loss. When Prentiss and Reed visit the compound of a religious cult, a surprise police raid goes awry, and a standoff develops between the cult leaders and the FBI. The cult leader and the FBI. Cult leader played excellently by the late Luke Perry. He was just so intense in this role and was just, you kind of got what he was trying to preach to the congregation, but at the same time he was still doing some pretty shady stuff in the meantime. Great direction, some great acting from Joe Mantegna, some great acting from Paget Brewster, who plays Emily Prentiss. I think what's his name? He's not in the new series. Matthew Gray Gubler as Reed, Dr. Reed. He was just fantastic throughout this as well. Trying to throw Cyrus off the fact that he's actually an FBI agent with Prentiss was just fantastic. Such a well done story. Coming in at number 4 is an episode that just had you going from beginning to start. It begins with a father and daughter a father teaching his daughter how to drive and promising her a new car, and ending with, wow, some heavy stuff in this episode. Coming in at number 4, Soulmates. When a woman in Florida disappears, the male suspect's wife and daughter stand by him. But then it's revealed that he might have a sadistic partner in crime. This was one of the episodes that had some of the best guest stars in it. You had George Newbern as one of the unsubs. George Newbern, he was in one of the Saw movies. He played President Tamaccio, I think his name was, in Jericho. He was the voice of Superman for the animated series. He's the voice of Sephiroth in, I believe it was Advent Children. So, real good pedigree behind George Newbern there. And Jeffrey Boatman, I think is his name. He was on Spin City with Michael J. Fox. He was just fantastic as the other unsub in this episode. Both of them did a great job. You see this bond forming between these two sociopaths, and what they do just makes your blood curdle, honestly and truthfully. But it was so well done, well acted by the two unsubs in this, and was just a great episode. And again, I always talk about, I talked about him before, Joe Mantegna. He was just a great addition to the cast in season 3. Like when Mandy Patinkin left and he came on, he's just owned the role of David Rossi ever since. And we're even seeing that now in Criminal Minds Evolution. The way it started the first couple episodes where it kind of looked like that Rossi was kind of off his rocker a little bit, and then We just see him transform back into the Rossi of old. He's got the swagger back, and he just looks fantastic. So again, this is another highly recommended episode. Such a nail biter when everything comes to light. Coming in at number 3 is another episode with some great guest stars, including the great James Remar. I almost said Jeffrey Remar, but no, that's not it. James Remar and Walton Goggins, who I absolutely love. This is a very, very good Prentice-centered episode. It's called Demonology. After her friend dies, Emily Prentice becomes personally involved in a case where men are dying while undergoing exorcisms, all performed by the same priest. There's one thing I'm going to say for every episode that we highlight here today in this video, that it was just filled with fantastic guest stars. Like you look at Minimal Loss, fantastic guest star in Luke Perry. Soulmates, George Newbern. This one, Walton Goggins, James Remar. And, you know, we'll get to more as the other 2 episodes come up. And even honorable mention or 2, I'll definitely talk about that. But this episode was such a great Emily Prentice-centered episode. We learned a little bit more of her backstory, because she was still kind of a mystery at this point. She only just came onto the cast in season 2 after Lola Glaudini left, and Emily Prentice came on. I think she was a welcome addition myself, honestly. She's been around ever since. Again, in Criminal Minds Evolution, she just looks fantastic for her. No, I'm not even going to say for her age. She just looks fantastic overall. Paget Brewster, whatever you're doing, keep it up. You look fantastic. But this was a great episode, and I loved Paget Brewster's acting in this. She did so well. Everybody did awesome. I haven't talked about him yet, but Shamar Moore as Derek Morgan. The way him and Prentice were going back and forth was just so well done between the 2 of them. And Thomas Gibson, just everybody contributed to this wonderful episode. And it is probably one of my favorite episodes of the original 15-season run of Criminal Minds, honestly and truthfully. It's well performed, well written, well directed. Everybody did a fantastic job on this episode. This is such a heartbreaking episode when you watch it. And again, another couple great guest starring roles from Mitch Pileggi and I can't remember her name, but she was on I can't remember the name of the show she was on. But whatever. Such a heartbreaking episode when you see everything go down. Coming in at number 2, Normal. In Southern California, the BAU is stumped by a crazed killer the press has dubbed the Road Warrior due to his random freeway attacks against drivers. Again, I have to say that this had some of the best guest stars in it, so well cast. Like you had Mitch Pileggi as the unsub in this episode. You had Gina, I want to say Gina Gershon, but that's definitely not it. Gina, she played Zoe in Firefly. I can't remember her last name, but Gina. Gina, one second. This is bugging me now. I gotta look this up. Gina Torres, that's it. Gina Torres was in it. And the other one I was thinking of beforehand, Faith Ford as Mitch Pileggi's wife. Just an amazing guest starring cast. And this is one of those episodes where it was all about the guest starring cast. They did such a wonderful job. Mitch Pileggi especially, as this family man, henpicked family man, whose children don't respect him, whose wife just does respect him, but doesn't. I don't want to. I can't really say what, but there's just something there between them where she's always, oh, you're gonna wear that tie? Okay. And he's like, takes the tie off, puts on a new tie. He's just so beaten down by his family, and then one moment where their youngest daughter is killed in an automobile accident sets him off. He kills his entire family, and then goes on this rampage. And you just, of course, I'll never say that what he did was right, but you just feel bad for what happened to him to bring him to this circumstances. And Mitch Pileggi plays it so well. I have such a respect for him as an actor, seeing him all the way back in the X-Files and seeing him in something like Sons of Anarchy, where you see the authority figure in Agent Skinner in the X-Files, but then you see him play a role like Ernest? The role he played in Sons of Anarchy, but then you see a role like this where he's just playing this vulnerable character, and he does it so well. Just, this is another one of my favorite all-time episodes. It's just so well done, so good, and just breaks my heart every time I watch it. Before I get to number one, I do want to highlight a couple episodes because, again, this was a season of special guest stars. You had an episode like Paradise that guest starred Wil Wheaton in it. And then you had another episode that I wanted to put on my top 5, but I thought that these 5 episodes were way better than this one. But this was an excellent episode nonetheless. Omnivore with C. Thomas Howell, who played Ponyboy Curtis in The Outsiders, starring as George Foyet. And if you've watched Criminal Minds, you know the story of George Foyet and everything that happens with him and Hodge along the way, especially when we get to season 5. Oh, good golly, Miss Molly, that was talk about a heartbreaking episode. We'll talk about that when we get to season 5. I don't know when, but it'll be soon. So yeah, definitely those 2 episodes are really well done. I especially love the acting of Wil Wheaton in Paradise because he plays this "Hi, how you doing?" kind of guest innkeeper, and he's just a total sicko. But Wil Wheaton plays him so well, and if you know Wil Wheaton, you know that's not him. He's one of the sweetest guys you've ever met. But yeah, definitely check out those 2 episodes. My favorite episode of season 4 is a 2-parter that happens in Canada. What happens in Canada is kind of gruesome and horrific and ripped from the headlines. My favorite episode of season 4 of Criminal Minds, To Hell and Back Again. So like I said, this one was a 2-parter, so I'm going to read both descriptions here. First, To Hell. A war hero crashes into a guard station in order to alert the BAU to 10 missing homeless people. The subsequent search leads to a nightmarish farm in Canada. And then back, while Morgan and Prentice search for the girls who were recently abducted, Hotch deals with the crime scene at the pig farm, which was used to slaughter victims. This was such a heavy episode, and it was totally based on real events that happened in Penticton, BC. So that kind of hit close to home, being Canadian, knowing about this case, not personally, but knowing all the detail, or some of the details of the case, I should say, not all the details. But it was so well done, and again, the guest stars in this episode were just picked so perfectly. I can't remember his name, but he played the strong, mentally handicapped brother in the show. I remember seeing him on episodes of Married with Children and thinking he was absolutely funny there, and he was scary as hell in this episode, or in these 2 episodes I should say. Just so well done. Everybody just gives it their all in this episode, and then it ends. How it ends is just everything that poor Hotch went through the previous seasons. Getting blown up, the divorce from Haley, and then he's met by the Reaper in his own home afterwards, which kind of came into season 5, but we'll talk about season 5 another time. But what was your favorite episode of season 4 of Criminal Minds? Let me know in the comment section down below. I'd really love to read your thoughts on this. While you're down there, don't forget to give this video a big thumbs up. I'd really appreciate that. In the description, you're going to see a link to all the ways you can help support this channel. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, Snapchat, TikTok, and Reddit. You can get your Irish Bandit merchandise from my Redbubble shop at redbubble.com. You can pick up your copy of my novel Shade Falling on Amazon. You can either get the Kindle edition or you can get the paperback edition, and you can buy me a coffee. And right now I have a goal going on to just kind of spruce up everything and get some new Elgato gear. So if you can, contribute. If you're new to the channel, don't forget to subscribe. And if you're already subscribed, tap the bell and you'll be notified whenever a brand new video goes live. I will be back Monday. Okay, I don't normally do the full schedule, but here we go. I will be back Monday with part 2 of my Hush Hush playthrough. Tuesday, I will be back with a brand new episode counting down my top 5 favorite episodes of Season 2 of Cobra Kai. Wednesday, I will have another episode of my BioShock playthrough for the first time playing through that game. Thursday, I will be back with a brand new booking video of how I would book the return of Doudrop, and she is not coming back as Doudrop, so that's something for you wrestling fans out there. And then Friday, I will be back with more Final Fantasy VIII. Whew. There we go. Got it all down. All right, guys. Have a great weekend, and I will talk to you again Monday.